talk about what he's doing with the 3 EV. And he's not, you're going to say, why the hell did you do this? And he might remember, and he might say, you know what? I didn't work on that. Someone else did. It was Bob Hoffman. So, so anyway, pretty much anything you guys want to talk about, just raise your hand. You can start by saying something.
All right. First, I got to tell you, Mark said I got to be here, so I'm here. I am so glad that I'm here. One of the things that I love about the car is the people that own it are the kind of people I want to spend time with. You are all fabulous.
You should come to every meeting.
And I think you are more valuable to me than the car is. So thank you for being here. One of the things that I've noticed, which I really enjoy being around, is that everybody's always willing and looking to help everybody else. If only the world was like that, wouldn't we be not the crap that we're in right now? So it's inspirational, and I see now the cars and the people in those cars sort of being ambassadors out there, making our world a little bit nicer place, which, boy, we need it. That's my speech for today. But anything you'd like to ask me, I'd be happy to tell you.
Tell us about the EV.
Tell them about the 3 EV. Well, the one thing nice about it is the first time in my life I know what I'm doing. And you cannot believe what a wonderful feeling that is. Not only do I know what I'm doing, but the people I have with me are, again, people that are, this is going to sound egotistical, and it is, but they're as good as me in what they're doing. And that means I can trust them to do and make decisions. I have a president, Bill Pryor, who's been with me for 30 years. He is the only human being in the universe that owned dealerships, retail, was president of the Subaru distributorship for New York, New Jersey, was president of a number of my import car companies. So he is the only man who has that kind of experience. Nobody in the universe, including myself, has that kind of experience. And he's exactly opposite of me. Very detailed, very to the point, doesn't take any bullshit. And I made him co-CEO. And I said, you're running the company. I'll do what I do, but you're running the company. If we have 2 different opinions, your opinion wins. If it doesn't have to do with how the car looks and how the car is going to drive.
Or anything else he might think of.
I have another guy who, and people are falling into place exactly when I need them. There's a gentleman by the name of Tim Suzzulli. Some you might know him. He's a dealer. He owns Planet Honda. He just a month and a half ago sold out for 115 million, one location. Sold 970 cars in the last month that he owned it. 970 in that month. That's just a couple months ago. And I had the pleasure of spending 10 days a month ago on his new 150-foot yacht. And I gotta tell you, the world is a different world. 150 days from Rome to Sicily, so on the ocean. It never went like this or like this. They got stabilizers on them now. The boat goes like this. Oh my God. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, he told me a story. He said, Malcolm, my dad in his lifetime owned 48 car franchises. One was a Bricklin. He said, when he was dying, he said to me, Tim, my only regret is I said no to a Toyota distributorship.
Oh,
so Tim said, I want the Southeast distributorship for this car, and I'll join you and sign up all the rest of the distributors. I know the man well. He was involved with me when we were trying to do the Chinese cars. So he's a fabulous, fabulous. Sell a car one at a time. I'm not knowledgeable how to sell a car one. I know how to sell a lot of cars, but I don't know how to sell one car at a time. So I got the most perfect guy who came in exactly at the time he sold his distributorship, and he gets his long lost whatever to do what his father couldn't.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Malcolm, I'm trying to let her know I'm in here.
Gotcha.
Whatever happened to Anthony Simonelli?
Anthony Simonera.
Seminara.
Believe it or not, I am going to be giving Anthony Seminara, Tony, a call when I'm ready for him. He is the most knowledgeable guy about every nut and screw on an automobile, and he pays as much attention to this little screw here as to the whole damn thing. He has by the way, of knowing what's more important to spend time on, and he drives me crazy, but he's the best there is, so I will invite him back. So that's what
But he
happened.
doesn't know that yet.
Huh? He does not know that.
What would Bricklin seats look like if knees bent the other way?
What would Bricklin look like if what?
What would Bricklin seats look like if people's knees bent the other way?
Malcolm, I've never seen a Cherry automobile on the streets of America or a dealership. What's the deal with that?
Well, after they got finished screwing me,
Yeah.
and I got finished spending 10 years suing everybody, and winning everywhere, and everybody paying so that our attorneys and their expenses and that they got paid. That's it. I learned what a stupid thing that was, the way it was my life. So the Cherry, after they did what they did, now they're not in here. They got together with the Israelis that we introduced them to. After we filmed and said, we don't trust the Chinese, you have to sign a deal that says you won't do anything for 5 years, right in front of us. Boom. So they put up the 200 million. Cherry put up whatever bullshit they said was worth 200 million. Then they put up more money, and pretty soon they both had $500 million in the company. Now, we had told them our mission was to build redefining the price of luxury, which is, let's build a car that is a $35,000 car, but let's sell it for 20. That's how we should use the less expensive Chinese instead of building a $10,000 car that is nothing, and nobody makes any money on it. They loved it. They loved it so much that when the Chinese government saw that publicity of redefining the price of luxury, Cherry, that was the bastard company of the Chinese national company because they built their factory without permission. They were strong in the province, so they got away with it. But they were made to give 20% of the company to SAIC. That is partly a partner with Volkswagen and with General Motors and is government owned. So it was called SAIC Cherry when we met. When they did publicity with me, redefining the price of luxury, coming to the United States, the government loved us so much. They got their 20% back. They got the SAIC name off there, and we're now becoming the favorite son of the national hierarchy of the party.
Yeah.
Mr. Yin, who was, he was a nice, I liked him, but he was nobody in the world out there. When we did what we did, became Man of the Year. And in film said it was all because of us. Got all that? Then they proceeded to screw us.
What did SAIC spell?
Well,
What was SAI? What was
I
it?
have no idea.
Oh.
No, you won't sleep tonight.
Yes, but those cars are never gonna show
No,
up.
so the rest of the story. The rest of the story. So the rest of the story is they invested their $500 million, and these geniuses, instead of following what I said, built a $35,000 car to sell for $35,000. Just what everybody wants. A Chinese car that competes with BMW, Audi, you name it, at the same price in Europe is where they were selling it. Got it? So they didn't sell very many cars. And they went out of business. And they lost $850 million because they sold whatever they built for $150 million and got out. Too bad for the Israelis who got screwed, and too bad for Cherry who got screwed. And I really don't wish bad about anybody, but I'm sort of happy.
Didn't they try
I
to
mean,
come
it
to
was
the
just
US?
stupidity. What?
Didn't they try to come into the US? You said recently?
Oh, that's not finished. Then the next thing I read, Haas has gone over and made a deal with a couple Chinese companies, including Cherry. They're gonna bring to the United States. They signed up dealers, but unlike us, they didn't put it in escrow. They took the money and they raised millions of dollars from dealers that were gonna get the Cherry car again. Well, Trump put 23% duty on the cars. Not, sort of ruins the advantage that you have in there, which he did on purpose.
Mhm.
And then they tried to talk Cherry into assembling here in the United States. Apparently Cherry agreed, but they went bankrupt last week. So Cherry's not coming in one more time. Again, I hate to wish bad on anybody, but it sort of made me happy.
What goes around comes around.
Boy, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the stupidity of it, the nice part about it is I'm not doing business with the Chinese. The bad part about it, they would have owned the market. If they had done exactly what we all agreed to, not a damn thing else, just done what we said, which they were doing. We said, go to Pininfarina Bertone and get the design. We agreed on the design. We said, go to AVL and build the engines. They went to Albia and they built a beautiful automated engine factory. Except they forgot the rest of the part. You sell them to us and we'll sell them. That part they forgot about.
Yeah, the marketing,
And then Dan Panos, who we hired to do the prototypes, really sharp guy. We hired him for two reasons. He built his own car, the Esperanza, in the 1990s. But he and his father invented the nicotine vat, worth billions of dollars. He died, now Dan and Mom own the billions. But Dan and Dad built race cars, designed, engineers, built them, and raced, not every, but their teams raced them. They won every kind of race from Indy to Sebring and everything in between. I mean, they really know what the hell they're doing. When you have a race car, you design it, it hits the wall at 200 miles, the guy walks. Car don't walk, but you walk. I got 6 kids and 10 grandkids are gonna be driving that car. That's why I built a safety car to begin with. At that time, I only had 3 kids. But built it for that reason. Now, it has to be different, and it's a 3-wheeler. So how do you do that? I went to him and said, 100 miles an hour. Whatever it takes, 100 miles an hour. I don't care what happens to the car, but the person walks. And that's what he's designed. So we will have not just a good 3-wheeler, and the 3-wheeler does not require a lot of the safety rules, which is why a lot of people are going to get into the game to avoid that. But it gives me the opportunity to do things that are even safer. What do I mean? When we were building the SV-1, at the time I owned the Phoenix International Raceway. So I knew harness belts were better than these things this way. So I said, I want harness belts in there. And they showed me, can't. The rules say I gotta do this. But now there ain't no rules. So I can put harness belts in there and put the airbags in the harness belts so you don't smash your face against the thing at 100 miles an hour. So it will be, in certain cases, safer because I don't have to meet the safety regulations. And that's the mandate. And that's what's being built as we speak. Now, so Dan said, now this is 2 years ago, when we were hoping to have the damn thing done a year ago. He said to me, listen, if we're gonna do EV, we gotta go to China. I went, oh shit. He said, they're the only ones doing it in quantity. They're the only ones who are gonna get a good quality anything. You're going batteries and motors and what's name. And we did not wanna buy components, because if you buy components, you need engineers to put it all together. That's why these people are spending $1 billion to get started. I said, I want to spend that. I want to buy a whole package already done. Why do I want to buy the pieces and hire all the people and go spend all that money and have all? So he went to China and he looked at all the different electric vehicles, and there's 1 million of them. I mean, there's a lot. Oh, thank you. And there's a lot, thank you. A lot. He came back, he said, I think I picked one. He went back again, tore the car down and said, here's what we want to do. We want to buy not your components, but your platform. We want to buy everything you have in an SUV EV that they were building that you can't see. So anything underneath the car, that, you know, instead of the dash wheel design, the seats will put our covering on it. The exterior will design, but what we don't want to do is everything underneath. So we want to buy all those components. Then we want to buy your pickup, EV, and your SUV. So we'll sell the dealers those along with ours because it all has the same components underneath. Sounds like a good plan, except I got to do business with the Chinese. This time I felt maybe I wouldn't get screwed because it doesn't matter what you sign, but because I'm buying stuff from them and they need the volume.
Yeah, you were gonna keep your shirt on this time?
I didn't know. I might have to take my pants off this time.
Yeah.
So, We do everything, they send us over all the stuff with the computers, he designs the vehicle, we're ready to go, and the coronavirus hits. I said, that's it with me and the Chinese. I'm over. Whether it came out of the laboratory or not, those sons of bitches cut off travel in their country and sent people out. They were infecting us. There you go. I ain't
Yeah,
doing business with
that's
them.
exactly right.
Cool. Now I got a problem. Where am I gonna get? Not the components. One of the people who is on our board, Raul Cernputi, Raul happens to be in charge of technology for Jet Propulsion Laboratory. So when you see a rover running on Mars 15 years ago when it went, it was supposed to last for 15 days. They turned it off 15 years later. The rover you see out there now that has a little helicopter on it, all that, he's in charge of the technology that was in there. So, and a great guy. So anything that has to do with technology, he knows. Everybody who's in the battery world, wherever, comes to him because they want him to use it on every rocket ship that leaves Earth without an astronaut in it, JPL. So he calls me up right when we decide the hell with China, I'm never doing business with him. And he says, Malcolm, we don't have to do business with China. He says, they're building enough in the United States, the volumes will be big enough for your price to be close to what you can get in China, and you don't have to depend on them. Great. So now we have to narrow it down to who is available out there that is doing it in volume, other than Musk. Now, I spent 13 or 14 years ago, he and Eberhard, who was actually the original of Tesla, called me up and said, whenever I'm back in China, in California, would I please spend some time with them? So I was back in California, Mark was there, Jonathan was filming the meeting, and I spent 3 or 4 hours with Musk and Eberhard. And I have to say, Musk took none of my advice. And God bless him, he has done a magnificent job of getting everybody to move into EV faster. And his product, sweetheart, if you've ever driven a Tesla, you're in for a very pleasant surprise. He's stubborn, but he's a goddamn genius. I mean, while he's doing that, he's sending the rockets up in the air and collecting them when they come down and boring holes in the cities all over the place and putting crop in monkeys' ears. Let me tell you something, he's my hero. But he has an Achilles heel. I told him, go put dealers in. He said, absolutely not. I'm gonna do it like Apple. I'm gonna have stores that come in. I said, it's not a cell phone. You're gonna pay a price. You can sell them that way, and you can send people out to service for a while. But once you get big volume, if you don't have a place that gives you a windshield wiper tomorrow, not 3 months from now, you're gonna have a real problem. Well, guess what? His company is worth more than all the other car companies put together, and he's the second richest man in the world. So my advice was really good. But it is starting to show up in articles coming out. This guy came and he had 4 months before he could get the parts. An insurance company said the car was totaled because they told him 9 months before he could get the parts to fix the car. Not gonna happen. It's not gonna work in the long run. He has got to find a way to set up a dealer network. He can own it if he wants, but he's gotta set it up. It's ready for service right now tomorrow. And he's starting to get the kind of volume that those little stories are gonna get to be bigger stories. And everybody in the EV business, that is not the major company, I'm talking about the startups, they're all gonna do it the same way. And they're all gonna pay the price. You need to service. Even though there's less service, there's still service, and it has to be taken care of promptly. So, I said, what do I do? I like Musk, and I like everybody likes his technology. And the reason his technology is really better than everybody else is using automobile engineers, and he's using space engineers. So they're lighter, they're not cheaper, but they're lighter, and they're better, and they're all good things. And he's always on top of it to make it better, and he moves faster than the General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler can move. So now let's see what we got out there. We got General Motors. They were the next one to jump in. They put in some factories and started doing some nice stuff with motors and committed to, we're not gonna sell combustion after 30, 35, and so forth. Now I signed NDA, so I can't tell you. who I made a deal with.
You can write it down though.
But I made a deal. Our components, our platforms are coming from a very major car company. And I then thought to myself, I was gonna set up 500 of the best dealers in the country. I got the right people. Kim was gonna be in charge of doing it. That's our history. We know thousands of dealers that made lots of money with us and all the things we did. And that's the way it was gonna be. Until I said, wait a second, I'm gonna be buying components from a major car manufacturer. Major car manufacturers have a couple thousand dealerships. They're gonna have a problem. And they know they have a problem. Why? Everybody who's working in the company over here are combustion people. I mean, that's what they do, combustion engines. They're all smart, some of them are even wise. You got dealerships over here, the same situation. So as somebody put it to me, what you got is turkeys voting for Thanksgiving. Because if they're successful, they're fired.
Yeah.
And if they're not successful, they're fired. What a great opportunity to really put it in. So what are they all doing? They're putting the money into technology. All of them are putting the money into technology. And all of them have good technology. And all of them will change to whatever the next one is. So now you have every major manufacturer in the world who are building cars, building EVs. They're building SUVs, pickups, and sedans. They're all building SUVs, pickups, and sedans. They're all priced between $35,000 and $150,000. Why would you go to anyone? Why would you go to Ford instead of General Motors, instead of Toyota, instead of Nissan, instead of Subaru, instead of Renault, instead of on and on and on and on? They all have plenty of money. They all have plenty of money to advertise. They all have plenty of staff. So how do you get somebody to do a dealership? I don't know. I mean, if I were them, I don't know. And they know they don't know. So they're scared to death. On top of that, General Motors had 150 Cadillac dealers come to them and say, buy our franchise back. We're not interested in EVs. I don't blame them. 60% of the money they make is from their service, and they're gonna not have a lot of service. Isn't that good? And they don't sell EVs. They're scared to die. I would be too. Why are you gonna go buy General Motors pickup instead of Ford's pickup? But I know, because that's what I do. I know how to sell cars. So how would you sell cars? Here's how we're gonna sell cars. And what I realized, it wasn't the car that I'm building, that what I'm in the game for. I have the 21st century way to buy a car. Musk proved people will buy on the internet. When you buy on the internet, there's only a few things you miss. One, you don't get to touch and drive the car. To me, that's a big deal. I don't think I'd like to buy a car if I didn't at least drive it, say, I look around the block and touch it, and say, look at that. The second thing is, you don't have warranty locations. So you may or may not get service. Because they're gonna tell you they're gonna drive out the car. Well, if you get in an accident, you're not driving out with the fender, that's for sure. So, the big deal is we're gonna sell on the internet, and the big deal about that is you don't have to deal with the salesman. And the dealer doesn't like the salesman either. He would like to do away with it, and the customer would like to do away with it. So the internet worked for Musk, and may work for the rest of them for a minute. So the game is, how do you bring people to a dealership? You can advertise my car is $3 cheaper than his car, or my EV is prettier than. I mean, I don't know, but doesn't seem to me the way it's going to work. So, I've been playing for 30 years with hologram technology. Back in 1988, when I sold Yugo, I wanted to go buy 1,000 dealerships and put them together before anybody else was going to do it. Automotive News wrote a front page article. I got Smith Barney to give me $1 billion commitment to buy them. I wanted to figure out how to get rid of the dealers. So I said, holograms, I like holograms. I went with Disney, made a deal with them. We made a thing called the Magic Theater, which had me this tall and a couple dealers this tall interacting in something that you watched in a glass thing. Brought it to the NADA, people went nuts out of their mind, lines around the block. That was going to replace a dealer. You're going in and push the button, you're gonna see a show. I'm gonna say, I and the dealers were gonna say this show with that. Then I was ready to close on Stalupia, the first dealer I was gonna buy, and I woke up one day and said, what am I doing? I don't even know how to buy one car. I haven't ever sold one of my cars. I gave it to somebody, told them to sell it. And I'm gonna own 1,000 dealerships? What am I, out of my mind completely? So I canceled it, called up Smith Barney, said, I'm not doing this. But I love the technology. It was a record that was made that did it all, and it reflected on glass. You didn't see all that, but that's how it worked. I mentioned it to Mark, who has storage bins all over the goddamn world, last 2 weeks ago. And boom, he found the record. All right? God bless him. He has no organization, but he found the goddamn record. Boom. So that's where I started 30-some years ago, playing with that technology. Well, the technology has come a long way, baby. We can sit in this room, I can have a bear walk up to you, and you wander, panda bears wandering around, a whale flown out of this thing, water all over the floor. I mean, with no goggles, with no nothing, you have no idea where it's coming from. What is it? If I made a 3-minute show, that was a killer. You walked into a pod, and you saw this killer show. And it wasn't there to sell the car. It was there so that when you left, you couldn't wait to tell everybody, you know, you gotta go down and see this show. That's the whole purpose of the show. And what would they do? They would do that. Guarantee you. I'd show it to you, and it's not my show, it's just their tech. You go, I'd want to see that. That means I know how to get the dealers I pick to bring traffic to them. And when they bring traffic to them, there's another technology. It's already out there. It's just nobody seems to be buying it. You take your cell phone and you buy this thing. It cost me about $2. It's like a reverse pyramid. And you put it on the phone. So now this thing is sitting there. And what you see after I hook you up with the app is you see something happen in hologram. And what's happening is it's moving real fast, and that turns into a hologram. So I can, once I give it to you, communicate with you in hologram form. Now, I'm planning to have a line around the block to watch the show. I can't make those people mad at me. So I'm gonna go, have people go through, put it on their phones, and entertain them with their phone, which they can then take home. And every time I communicate with them, they're gonna show everybody they know, look at this, because I'm gonna do the same thing, look at this. So we're gonna captivate the people by showing a show and entertaining them with the goal of just bringing people to our dealership to see whoever, not just our cars, but whoever the manufacturer is that's going to be selling them. Because I want that manufacturer, whoever that may be, to manufacture our car. I don't want to be in the manufacturing business. It's not my business. That's the last thing I want to do again. So I'm going to go, since everybody now seems to be manufacturing for everybody, it doesn't seem to matter anymore because nobody gives a damn what's under the hood anymore. All they want to know is how many miles between charges and how fast they're to 60. What's underneath? Nobody cares because it's all going to be the same. Different, but the same. So I have found a way, in my opinion, to offer a manufacturer how to bring traffic to their showroom in droves. And I can prove it by putting in front of them, whoever them is, and tell them to walk in there and announce to them, when you walk out after 3 minutes, you're mine. And when they walk out, here's what I want you to do. And if you don't want to do it, what else are you going to do? Because after I thought about it, I can't imagine anything anybody's going to do to get traffic other than that. So that's what we're planning on doing and what we have established. Oh, so after you see the film, you have two choices. You have an ambassador, not a salesperson, nicely dressed, man and woman, who's there to simply guide them. Would you like to go on the internet, walk them over 2 feet and sit them down in front of a computer? Buy the car if you want. Or if you'd like, how about if we go outside, you get to touch and drive it. If they want to do that, great. You want to see the dealership where you have a couple thousand people who will take care of you? Here they are. Now, if you're ready to go buy, go on in, boom. Go ahead and sell it, buy it on the internet. So the best of what Musk is doing and the best of what dealers were doing, we are incorporating in making it a show. And that's what I believe. I'm not going to be known for building cars. I'm going to be named for making this show. So that's about is what is about to happen. Now with the car, we're not gonna build an SUV, we're not gonna build a pickup, we're not gonna build a sedan. We're building that three-wheel that I don't know if everybody saw it, that is gorgeous. And it's selling for under $30,000, so it's a really good price before rebates. Every 50,000 vehicles, I'm changing the exterior. Keeping the doors, not gold wings, but scissor, so I don't have leaks. But I have a sexy door. I'm not changing the doors, I'm not changing the interior, I'm not changing what's underneath, but the exterior is going to be changed. So what will I have? I will have something so that the used car price stays high. Because you want them, they're already sold out. You wanna buy it, you gotta buy it from somebody. And you know how hard it is to give up a car when everybody talks to you every time you drive it. Especially if we don't have any problems with the car. Especially if we don't have any leaks with the car. So, we are going to have great looking, great driving, redefining the price of fabulous. Everything about it has to look fabulous, the price has to be fabulous, it has to feel fabulous, it has to drive fabulous, it has to have a great fabulous dealer network. Anything that's not fabulous can't be in the car. And with electric, we can do it. So that's what we're doing with the 3 EV.
How many people?
2.
You'll have a prototype pretty soon?
We'll have a bunch of prototypes by November.
What's your
Now
range?
remember, we designed it all, we had to get rid of the Chinese thing, we had to redesign, it had to be stretched a little to fit the manufacturer that we picked in the United States.
What would the range be on?
Over 300 miles. Now remember, I'm half the weight, so with half the kilowatts, I can get the same performance. And that's why I can sell it for under $30,000.
What sort of colors?
Huh?
What sort of colors?
Which sort of color? I don't know.
Safety
What color or
bridge.
colors?
No, well, let me talk about the exterior. At this moment, barring anything that we haven't found out yet, it will be made of hemp. Why hemp? Well, first of all, believe it or not, it is not marijuana. Hemp is, but it has been against the law. You could not use hemp until 2 years ago. Who do you think made that happen? The cotton farmers. Because it's a replacement for cotton, and it's a great replacement. It's 10 times stronger than steel. 10 times stronger than steel. I can grow 3 seasons a year. So it's inexpensive, and I can grow it in the backyard of wherever the factory is. I do it here in the United States. What we're going to find out is if when we impregnate it with color, if it comes out looking nice. Because I cannot afford, I won't put it in a paint facility. Right now, to put it in a paint facility for the volume I want is close to $800 million. That's why I didn't do it with our car before, the SV-1. That's why we went to sheets, because that's the only thing I could find that worked. But if I can't get it really good looking, the colors will be whatever we decide. For sure, there'll be one black and one white, and one red. If Mark has anything to do with it, it'll be one green.
What will it be classified as far as the federal
That's the other
government?
nice thing. In some states, it's called an autocycle. In some states, it's called a motorcycle. What we wanted to do is, we want to go to the government and say, we want a new classification called 3 EV. Because a classification, I told you, is whether it's electric or combustion. 3 EV, and we need to put some safety rules on there. We don't think you should be able to have that car and not have to have a safety seatbelt, not have to have some of the safety things. That seems stupid. I mean, it's a car, no matter what you want to say, you just have to have 3 wheels. Now,
2-seater?
huh?
2-seater?
2-seater. Now, it was big enough to put 2 in the back. I didn't want it, because 80% of the rides are one person. You want more? Go buy an SUV. We're not trying to put anybody out of business. We're a new segment of car, which is a car you want. You don't need it. You're not buying it because it's electric. You're buying it because it's cooler now at a great price. That's the real reason you're buying it. Yes, sir.
Not much on the EV vehicles. After 300 miles, how long does it take to charge that battery up?
That's the next bitch. Right now, if you're going to get with a fast charger, which you can now get with the batteries that are being built, Up to now, you couldn't, even if you had a fast charger, it would ruin the batteries. With the batteries that are coming out, in 10 or 15 minutes, you can get 100 to 150 miles charged with a fast charger. But instead of costing $2,000 or $3,000 for the charger, it's 40 grand. All right, that's number one. In the house, it takes you all night, no matter what you're gonna do, because you can only get 220 out of the house. The people who have a house are the best, in my opinion, the best prospects for the car, because every night they can charge it. And some of the people we're doing business with, I can put a plate before and a plate in the car, and you just pull in the car and walk away and it charges. And so that's convenient. Those that don't have a house are gonna have range anxiety. Because even though they have the apps now, you'll know where every charging thing is in the world, and your car will tell you when you get to X, here's the nearest one. If God forbid you get to a charging station, there's two people in front of you, you're in for an all-day adventure. I mean, the guy could spend 2 hours there, getting his car filled up, having a hamburger somewhere. Not okay. I won't buy one on that basis. That's out of the question. So, one of the things we're doing is part of what we think is necessary. Let's assume I went to General Motors, and let's assume they were the dealer, the factory that we're talking about. They have 4,100 dealers. If we said put 10 charging stations in each dealership, which they need for their own cars, to charge them every day for people to take rides, that's 41,000 charging stations. So that starts to make you feel comfortable. You know, if you bought a car, you could go to 4,100 places, maybe get a 20% discount for as long as you own the car. It's not enough. It's just not enough. I don't care what anybody says. If they're gonna sell millions of cars, you're not gonna wanna wait in line for this. For sure, you're gonna hate your car worse than I already hate it, thinking about it. So I think we need, the people, whoever I do business with, I'm gonna suggest we put in 500,000. Now, that's what the government is saying to do. So if I did business with a Ford or General Motors, big enough, and they happen to invest $1 billion in my company, which would allow me to get all the money I want, to be partners with them and the government to put in 500,000 around the dealerships, then you're starting to talk about a little bit of comfort. And the range anxiety will start to go down. But here's what's happening. Before anybody breathes, the technology we're talking about is over, and it's solid state. Solid state, it's just what it says, solid, no fires. Real fast delivery, because it's not gonna catch fire. If you heat up lithium too high, boom. That's why you don't have any faster charging. But with solid state batteries, you can get a decent thing in 5 minutes, like a gas station. That will change everybody's mind. And that's already ready to happen.
The only other question that I have about it, and I'm not sure I wonder, how long is that battery gonna last before I have to replace it? Do I buy another car or just get the battery?
You hit on the two problems that are gonna keep the cars from going as fast as everybody thinks they're gonna go. Right now, you can expect a normal driving 10 years minimum. But remember, every year you're driving the car, you're also losing value in your car because somebody's not real happy to pay full price for a 9-year-old car, all right? But at the end of the time that it's valuable in a car, it doesn't mean that it's dead. It means it's not valuable for the car, but it is valuable for a lot of other things that people are paying money for, that'll run, the turbines that are trying to get stored energy, solar panels that are trying to store energy. So it has a value. The problem is, nobody knows the answer to the question you just asked. How's that nice to buy a car? How much do you want to spend on it? Those answers are going to get less difficult because as the developing cars that get faster charger, go farther distance, cost less money, are lighter, they're also getting cars that will go millions of miles before you have to worry about it. So it's being addressed. And because the volumes are going to be so huge, and because the gamble that they're all taking is in so many billions of dollars, that the technology will move faster than it ever has. But they got answers. Now, you know me, I got my own answer. I want a car that you never have to charge. I don't want to go stop ever. And I played with for a couple of years until I said, until I have a lot of testing, I can't even go any further. I said, why don't I put multi-fans, turbines, 2 of them, designed the car with Dan, so that we had 2 turbines in the front of the car. And we had 2 things that lifted at 25 miles an hour and over. Why? Because there's less drag at over 25 miles an hour. And then as you drove, it would move these turbines and it would create energy into capacitors. Why capacitors? Because capacitors takes energy, boom. The problem with capacitors is it also lets the energy out, boom. So it really doesn't do too good to run a car, but it is great to charge. You can charge that car in 5 minutes, boom, to the top, right? But they're working on capacitors. They go boom to take it in and a little bit slower to take it out. That's the answer to the world. While they're doing that, I was playing with these turbines and it works. But not works enough to start betting my life on it until I got a lot of testing. But my goal in life is to have something I can put in the car and never worry about it. I just want to get in the car, push the button and go. The hell with charging. Now, a lot of people are not going to like me. I mean, like everybody builds batteries, everybody's in the oil business, everybody's in the electricity business, but I'm 82. What are they going to do, kill me?
Just curious, in your past experiences, have you ever played with photovoltaic panels like solar panels?
Absolutely, I'm planning on putting photovoltaic instead of solar. Well, photovoltaic are really solar, but different, because they think alike. I've been talking to Ralph Cerputi about, well, are they more efficient than solar, because I get light instead of worrying about solar, sun. So yeah, I'll probably end up, if not the first minute, in the second minute, put some of those panels on the car.
When you're charging it as you're running.
And they'll give us some, but they're not efficient enough to give us dramatic. And you still need light, even if it's not the sun.
But it does help with range.
Oh, no, I'm with you. That's what I came into it fast. It took me a long time to figure that out.
Right.
But yeah, we'll put it on and we'll do that much. But that much is better than nothing.
Enough better than nothing, as the technology progresses, you'll be able to do more.
Yes.
I wonder if you have some good stories about your relationship with John DeLorean.
Of course I do. And I just talk about small world department. Everybody involved with me is saying, I gotta be on social, I'm not gonna do it. It's just gonna drive me crazy. But one of the things I did do is I thought I could comfortably be on LinkedIn. Well, it's not so comfortable, because I got over 5,000 butt shavers now, and I'm always pushing buttons to wish them happy birthday, and it's getting more and more, and although it's a button you push, there's a lot of buttons I gotta push every day. So I gotta get somebody who I can trust with my attitude to start answering. But I got, see if I can find it. That's really funny, because it happened 2 weeks ago, and then I'll read you what he said. I'm gonna go to LinkedIn.
You got an email from John DeLorean?
I hope he didn't get an email from John DeLorean. 2 weeks ago. Technology's improved.
Hey, so
He's on the cloud.
Brooke let me know, I didn't know this, and I don't know if any of you knew, but for the shot that we got at the Corvette Museum today, if you go tomorrow, find time, to go to the Corvette souvenir shop, towards the back, they have our photo that you can buy. And it's great photos, she's got it up here. They're $10 like this, and they put them in a frame for $20. And it's a great photo, it really is. And I just think Sarah told me, but then I spaced it. So Brooke has hers up here, if you wanna look at it.
Facebook, so much more fun.
And it's a great photo, so.
Mark, we got one, but they also let me put whatever I wanted on it. They'll type in whatever you wanna name the picture or anything else
Oh,
too.
nice. Did they add to that? Is it-
No, it's still the same price.
That's great. And that, it's not that far away, it's easy to get to, I think he was talking
Are you
about.
kidding me? I have to shoot myself.
But it's true that DeLorean was privy to the Bricklin prototype.
No, it's worse, it's not, it's more interesting than that. I got on 7/19. So it's July 19th?
Yes.
The following. My history with GPA, and GPA is Grand Prix Auto. Grand Prix Auto is those little races around the clock.
Malibu Grand Prix.
Malibu Grand Prix, right? Grand Prix Auto is what they call it, GPA. Malibu Grand Prix was Roger Penske and John DeLorean. Okay. And it was my history with GPA and John DeLorean's envy of you. This guy said it, right? So of course he got my curiosity. And then he says to me, he worked for GPA, he was the engineer that did the watch thing, and he's been privy to John DeLorean. Now here's the story. I brought the Subaru 360 into the country. We were selling them like crazy until Consumer Report put us on the cover, Cadillac and the 360, and said unsafe at any speed. And they came from, it was under 1,000 pounds, therefore exempt from the safety rules, which is exactly why I brought it in. Otherwise I had to spend the money and the time and I didn't want to. It was not. It was a great little car. It sold for $12.95. All right, got 66 miles to the gallon. Seated four comfortably, radio, heater, white wall tires, tinted glass. Dealer made 20%. Of course we were selling them. I get a call. Did you see Consumer Report? I said, what's Consumer Report? Oh, that's a magazine, that. Oh yeah, what's the circulation? 500,000. So I said, so 500,000 people won't buy the car, who cares? Not the facts. Every bank reads it and cut off the floor plan on the dealers we had. Now, I had cars in the country being shipped to the dealers. I had cars on ship coming in. I had cars in the factory ready to go to the ships. And I had cars ready to go to the factory ready to go to the ships to come to me with letters of credit. And my sales are dropping to nothing because my dealer network is losing all the floor planning. That's what Consumer Report did. Nothing I could do about it, and I only had the rights to the little car. Now, thank you very much, burn it. So now I had to go back to Japan with cars piling up that we're paying for, and inform them I need the bigger car, which they didn't want to give me to begin with. I figured I'd get the little car, eventually they had to give me the bigger car. No matter what my argument was, no. So finally, I say, okay, one last favor. I want dinner tonight with O'Hara, who was the chairman of the board of the company, and Yuka Kikuchi, who was the export manager, myself and Harvey. And we go to dinner, and at the time I was smoking cigarettes like a chimney, the band's playing, I'm getting a headache, my life is on board. They say no one more time, I'm out of business, and it's a mess. I gotta get the bigger car, front wheel drive, we win. I give all my arguments about how important it is, and blah, 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 blah. Nothing, and he interprets it. I'm sitting across from O'Hara, Harvey's sitting here, Kikuchi is sitting here. Like it happened right the second I can remember it. And I am wearing a suit and tie, smoking cigarettes. This is my life. Either I talked him into giving me this, which everybody has said no for a week, and he's saying no now. I turned to Harvey, I said, I have no idea what I'm going to do, but get ready to disappear fast. And I did something that is not my style, that if anybody ever did it in front of me, I would fire him in the worst way known to man, and I would, even telling the story, I'm still slightly embarrassed. And I turned and I looked at him and started to curse at him in the worst language that I could imagine. Dirty God, I mean, bad stuff. And I mean, I was, if you think Hiroshima was bad, you won't believe what's gonna happen in the United States when you pull out of this thing. And on, and then stop. And he looked at me, so, Kikuchi, I said, what just happened? He said, you got a deal. To this day, I have no idea why I did that and what I said that got his attention. But then we became best buddies in the company. Oh my God, O'Hara changed his mind. We own the world. So now I got cocky. Now I got that, I want a perpetual contract. A perpetual contract, not a 25-year contract, a perpetual contract. You don't even know if it's legal, they said. I said, I don't care. You said you want to do business with me and my kids and their kids. Perpetual is the word we want in there. And besides, if you give me that word, I have somebody who's going to give us millions of dollars based on that, which was true. We'll give you 25 years. No, I want perpetual. Obviously, perpetual's not 25 years. What's your problem? Nope. He said, okay, tell you what, we'll give it to you. No, we'll give you $10 a car in a Japanese bank for every car you sell. I said, good. And afterwards, you and I will both go to jail. We're a public company. Okay, so I can't take the $10. Finally, they come back. This is after a couple of days of negotiating, after he said, okay. I said, what are you pushing me for? They said to me, I tell you what, we'll give you perpetual, but you can't tell anyone. I said, we're a public company. Every year in the annual report on the front page, it's going to say perpetual. Oh my God. Oh, blah, blah. We got perpetual. And every day, every year, it said perpetual for the first thing. I have no idea why they said okay. But they said okay. And then, of course, we brought in the front wheel drive and everything.
And then this was Fuji Heavy
This
Industries?
is Fuji Heavy Industries. From then on, everything was great. Then 20-some years later, they bought back all the public stockholders. And once again, nobody was an importer for Japanese cars. We were the only ones, and we were the last ones. All right, but there was a reason for that story.
Fast track.
DeLorean.
Fast track.
DeLorean.
Now DeLorean. Okay. So now we go, I got a bunch of 360s piling up. And I can't sell them to the dealers. But I got them cheap, $640 FOB a pound. So I got 3 kids, marketing the oldest, and they're playing with Hot Wheels. And I got a million Hot Wheels all over the place. And when I leave, I got Hot Wheels running up and down there. So I said, And I go to our location in Pensacola. We had 20 acres, so we had a lot of land besides the warehouse and offices. And I get a bulldozer, and I make a fast track in the dirt. And I call a fewer, the clock people, the watch people, and ask them if they got a clock that times they do. I said, I need them that will continue. So one person on the track and the next person can keep 5 things at a time. Yeah, we'll make some adjustments, we'll have it out there. And then I put a fence around the place. We had the thing with the roll bars on it, took the glass out. Gave you a jumpsuit to put on and seatbelts and all. He went about 15 miles an hour. You thought it rolled over, you went up the kind of thing, and then you made it in 45 seconds. All right, paid, charged $1. I had lines around the block.
It was a Christmas tree scarf. Like drag the strip.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was cool. It was fun. And it wrecked the car, exactly what I wanted to do. Get as many dollars as I can for a car and junk it. Things are going good. I'm putting up a couple fast tracks. All I want to do is keep them open, not franchise them. We own them. Get rid of the cars. Get them done, run them until they won't run anymore. We go to California, in Orange County, at the racetrack, and we put in fast track. All it was is dug the track, and we put tires around it so you bounce into them, put up a fence, and that's it. Well, we opened on a Friday. We were going to close at 10 o'clock. They wouldn't let us close. The lines, the crowd started tearing down the fence. And we, all right, we won't close. We went through the night into Saturday, 10 o'clock again. Wouldn't let us close. Went through the night, Sunday, wouldn't let us close. Monday, the Orange County school system closed down because everybody from school was at the track. Now, I hired Jack DeLorean, John's brother, to work with the track. He'd run around making sure everything was okay. And he said to me, this is really going good. What are you going to do with it? I said, I'm going to close it down the minute I got rid of these cars. Really? Well, Pinsky and John were talking about it because I told them what's happening here. They would like to do it, but they want to build cool cars. I said, yeah, what? So what? They said, well, they want your permission. I said, you got my permission. I mean, as soon as I'm done, you got my permission. This guy who wrote that was the engineer who designed those cars for that deal. So let me read you what he out of nowhere. Oh, so that was the first part. They got into that. the second part was, now John and I have become friends, he was calling me up every once in a while, right? And I admire the man. He was doing a really good job at General Motors. But they didn't like him at General Motors because he was a narcissist. He was walking around, he had cool girlfriends, he had publicity. You don't do that crap if you work, at those days, if you work for General Motors. But he was really good at what he did. He did good for Pontiac, he did good for Chevy. They didn't like him for that. So they made him vice president or something where he couldn't do nothing. But he was on Johnny Carson, so I mean, he was a cool guy that didn't fit, but he was really good. He calls me up, he says, Malcolm, we have the group in Livonia who are building the prototypes. He said, I want to know if I can talk to you when you come to Detroit. I said, well, I come once a week. He said, let me pick you up at the airport. Would you mind if you took me over to see what you're doing? Yeah, no problem. I said, I hired most of the people from Corvette anyhow, so they were working for you. Great. Picks me up in a stretch Chevy. We go over to the place and he knows everybody. And he says he spent about an hour talking and looking and playing. Get back in the car. I said, okay, now why did you want me to do this? He said, what would you say if I said I would quit General Motors and be your president? I would say, I would kiss your ass. You know what's going on. I have no idea what I'm about to do. I said, that would be the best thing in the world. So what's the catch? He said, well, if I leave General Motors, I'm going to lose $1.6 million. I said, so you want me to give you $1.6 million to sign on? I said, you got a deal.